What's good, y'all? Solomon here. I hope everybody watching this is having a great day. Before we get into today's video, I want to let you know that I'm giving out a 30% off discount code for all 4 of my online courses. We got the Hippopotamus Defense, the Czech Pierce, the Ponziani Opening, and how to crush the Scandinavian Defense. If you want 30% off on any of those courses, all you got to do, go down in the description below, go down to the pinned comment, plug in 2024 as the discount code. And if it's 2024, when you plug in 2024, you will receive 30% off on one of the courses, 2 of the courses, 3, or all 4. Okay, all you got to do, plug in the discount code, plug it in, and you get 30% off. Let's now head over to the video. Today we're going to be going over a game in which case I played the move of e4, and a grandmaster in bullet chess played this move of d5 against me. Now, when I was growing up, I got to admit, when I played e4 growing up and I saw the Scandinavian Defense, I could not stand it. I could not freaking stand the Scandinavian Defense. It was just so annoying. The positions were not fun. They weren't aggressive. They weren't exhilarating. There wasn't any kind of lines that I was really hoping to get. I would often just take the pawn and then play knight c3, and maybe they'd go into a modern, maybe they take with the queen. If they did, they had queen a5, they had queen back to d6, a lot of different stuff, and the positions were just boring. And honestly, my opponents had better understanding of the positions that arose because of the fact that they studied it so much. And I just went, I'm going to take the pawn, play knight c3. That tends to be kind of the extent of e4 players, prep against the move d5. And some players, they go, I want to play aggressively, so I'm going to play this move d4 with the Blackmore Gambit. Guys, this move of knight c3 here, this is aggressive, this is strong. There's so many fun gambits that can take place out of this. Against the move d4, which is Black's best move according to the engine, I like swinging my knight over to g3, and really there we're playing, a Kennedy variation of the Nimsworth defense. Hikaru Nakamura and Gotham Chess also like this as white as well. They play knight c3 more than anything else in online chess. And if Black takes, which is what my opponent does here, Hikaru often takes the pawn on e4, which makes sense. I mean, that's the most sound move. But I like this move of d3 with the dunce peon and gambit, offering up that pawn. If white takes, we're going to capture back. If knight f6, I'll give you another opportunity to take. And here my opponent does. And here's the idea. Very easy opening to learn, and just a lot of fun. It's exciting, and you've got them out of the Scandinavian Defense. This does not feel like a Scandinavian Defense anymore. And when you play knight c3, that's only played in 6% of online games. So now the d5 player is the one that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable in terms of the theory. Here I love queen e2 and looking to castle queenside fast. Now h6 is playing the game. I could have played h4. Maybe g5, I bring my bishop back. There's pros and cons for Black here by having these pawns out. In one sense, they got tempo or tempi. This bishop is very active, aimed down towards the queen side of the board, and we should, still consider castling here, but this bishop is active. On the other end, though, these pawns are a little bit weak. These can become targets in the future, so a little bit of a trade-off there for Black. But in the game here, I go, I'm going to take off this knight, and here the engine actually likes knight e4. Of course, if bishop f5 or something turns out we're threatening knight takes f6 checkmate, I highly doubt my grandmaster opponent would have played bishop f5, but that is a threat. And white here has a solid game, but I instead played this move castling queenside. I still like this position for white, eyeing up that queen. Queen a5 is played. I played king b1. I played king b1 there. I mean, this is a good move to throw in general if you castle queenside, because by definition, if you castle kingside, your king is one step away, one move away from being in the dead corner. But if you castle queenside, it's 2 moves away. So your king can feel a little bit more loose, a little less tucked away, and the pawn on a2 can become a little bit more weak if the king is not defending it. So I go, I'm going to defend that pawn. Bishop f5 is played here, and I played knight f3. But I have a winning move here. I have a move that's completely crushing this position. Completely winning. Black might just resign on the spot. What is that move? You can pause the video if you'd like to. The move here for white is queen to h5. The bishop's pinned. I mean, what's Black going to do about it? You can play e6, but then we play g4. And if the bishop moves, thank you for the queen. If the bishop doesn't move, we're looking to take the bishop. So, I mean, this is this is not good for Black at all. But in the game here, I play knight f3. I'm still better, but not winning in the way that I would have been after queen h5, e6, knight d4. This is a very common idea, going after that e6 pawn. Black ends up taking, and I'm like, I'm going to keep my queen on that spot. I'm going to activate this rook, and now I can double up rooks if I want to. I can triple, have an Alekhines type, almost an Alekhines gun, by having the rook and the queen and the rook there. I think an Alekhines gun is when you have 2 rooks and then the queen in the back. Someone will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But bishop e7 here is played, and now knight takes e6. Let's blast this position open. This is completely crushing for white. Such a fun option against the Scandinavian Defense, guys. And what other, I'm just saying, if you're playing against the Grandmaster, bullet chess or not, what opening is going to give you this much of a winning shot, a winning position at move 14 against the Scandi against a GM? I don't think anything will. Knight c3 is so underrated that even GMs don't know what to do with it. And in this case, the king cannot castle either direction. Knight a6 is played. You still can't castle. Let's threaten mate. Queen c5. I miss knight e4. I'm still winning after the move I played, but knight e4 is technically better, attacking the queen. And then knight d6, looking to cut that queen off. And of course, if you take up the queen, rook takes back. That bishop is not looking pretty, or neither is anything on the black side. But here, rook d3 is what I went with. A triple battery ram against that bishop. I mean, yeah, just completely winning. Knight c7 is played. I capture off. Here in this position, I'm now up one pawn, but a lot of activity as well. Rook f7. This is an isolated pawn. Let's attack it. Rook e8. I don't want to trade. Now, I could trade, and I'm winning, but I'm just like, you know what? I have such a fun attack against this king. This is a bullet game. Let's keep things rolling here. I know that I usually say trade down if you're up material, and honestly, if I don't see a clear win, I will trade. But in this case, I saw the fact that, you know what, I can get both of my rooks on the 7th rank. Black here still hasn't moved their A rook. I mean, black's just not going to survive here very long. I could have brought the rook here immediately. Of course, if check, I can bring it back. I go, you know what, I'm just going to play A3. Good prophylactic move. If you play A3, you're never going to get back rank mated again in your life. Your opponent can never think about back rank mating you again in the entire game. Unless, of course, they have a bishop that's, you know, being a little bit sneaky. But a6 is played here. I throw the rook in. Check. I mean, the knight moves, but knight a4, going after that weakness. Anytime pawn push, you're making weaknesses by definition. That square on b6 is a weak square. Let's target it. You can't directly defend it. b5 is played. I throw in a check. Black here resigns. Probably due to the fact that, you know, I could take the rook, but even better than that is rook b7, and this game would be over. Let me know your thoughts down below on the move of knight to c3 against the Scandinavian Defense. So much fun. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. And just a quick reminder that in addition to the 30% off all online courses sale this month, we wanted to also give a 20% off sale on our physical merch all December. We got shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more on the merch shelf below, and we got a lot more on the website, so check them out and use the code WINTER20 for 20% off. On top of that, I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of December in 2024. I appreciate you guys a ton. It's been great getting to know you, and yeah, I'm just humbled by your support. And if you guys haven't thought about joining the Patreon community before, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member, and I look forward to seeing you over there on the platform. Peace.